Alright, welcome back guys. So, we've already been working on adding and subtracting, multiplying and dividing integers for at least one day. But for the most part, we really haven't gotten in depth on it. So I wanted to discuss a couple of things that you guys need to consider when we really get in depth in this. The first thing is when you're adding something like a -2 plus another negative number. When you're adding two negatives together, you're going to get a more negative number. This more negative number is going to be 2 and 3 added together, and it's going to be negative. See, a negative plus this negative, you're going to get a more negative number. If you were doing this on a number line, and 0 was here, you would move 1, 2 spaces to the left to -2. These over here on the left of 0 take you to a more negative number. When you add -3, you move 1, 2, 3 more to the left, which takes you to a total of -5 on the number line. Well, what happens if you have something like a -2 plus a +3 instead? Well, this doesn't equal a -5. This is actually going to be equal to a +1. You see, if you have this on a number line instead, this on a number line is different. See, if 0 is right here in the middle, and the negatives are on the left, you're still going to move 1, 2 spaces to the left to -2. But now you're going to move a positive direction. Your positive numbers are on the right. So you start with your -2, and you move back 1, 2, 3 spaces to the right. This is going to go ahead and take you to +1. And that's because you had to move 3 spaces to the right starting at -2. A lot of people like to think of adding positive and negatives as canceling each other out. This is 1, 2, 3 different positives. This is 1, 2 negatives. If you count all of the positives and the negatives, these negatives and those positives cancel each other away. Well, what's left over? Just that one positive. And that's why this answer is equal to 1. Well, I want to go over one special rule when you're subtracting positive and negative numbers. And this is the one that a lot of people have trouble with. Let's say that I'm going to go ahead and put something like this -2. And I'm going to go ahead and subtract 5. See, a lot of people will say that this is equal to -3. This is not equal to -3. This is actually like putting -2, and then what you're going to do is you're going to put plus -5. This is actually going to be equal to -7. Because if you have a number line, and you have 0 right here, when you're moving to the left, 1, 2 spaces to the left, this takes you to the -2. Well, if you move 5 more spaces to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is your 5 spaces to the left, this is going to be a total of moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is why when you subtract 5 from -2, you don't get -3. You actually get a -7. And of course, a lot of people messed up this rule too. Let's say that I put -2, and let's say that I subtract a -5. There's a very special rule that you guys need to remember. Whenever you subtract a negative number, it's like adding a positive number. And this is really like putting -2 plus 5. Well, we have to remember our rules. When one of them is negative and one of them is positives, we have to remember this is like putting 1 negative, 2 negatives, and then 5 different positives. What's going to end up happening is what we said before. These 2 negatives will cancel away with 2 of the positives. Well, what's going to be left over? 1, 2, 3 of the positives. And so I want you to remember this rule. When you subtract a negative, it's like adding a positive. And that's getting a little bit more in depth when you're adding and subtracting And we haven't really covered multiplying and dividing, but we will in the next couple of videos. Take care.